right? Because Zimbabwe is suffering its worst hunger crisis in more than a decade, says World Food Programme. Nearly 2.3 million people in about 15 towns and cities do not have food security due to high cost of living. There is large-scale livestock losses afflicting 2.2 million people in cities and 5.5 million people in rural villages. Let's have more of that in this report.
Rainfall in recent days, it's rejuvenated the vegetation, providing much-needed grazing for emaciated cattle. But it came too late for some that had already succumbed. Livson Machivenyika has kept the heads of the cattle he's lost. In total, 8 have died since November.
At the beginning I felt so much pain, but eventually I became numb and stopped crying over the losses. There was no one for me to cry to.
That's because everyone else in his village is in the same boat. Carcasses of Virginia Pahlela's cows that dropped where they stood.
They were the reason why we stayed in the village. They enabled us to work the land and feed our families. I used to get 30 to 40 buckets of milk per day for my 17 cows. Now, they're all gone.
Desperate tried literally everything to save their animals, including plucking down some of the grass from their thatched roofs, wetting it, salting it, and feeding it to their cattle to try and build back their strength. But it was all in vain.
They are bereft of ideas on how they will bounce back from this.
The price of cattle will go up, and only those who are well off will afford to restock.
But this community is still in peril.
It's not raining again, so we won't be able to get any food from the land. Also, if you look around, the vegetation hasn't fully recovered, so the few animals that are still alive may also starve.
Government is mounting an immediate and long-term response.
We are working with other arms of government as well as some development partners to try and address the water situation by way of either digging new boreholes or rehabilitating the already existing boreholes. We've also got what we call the cattle breeding centers. These centers are to do with the planting of grasses and under irrigation, and then we finish off the animals under those pieces of land.
Hopefully the impact will be felt in hard-hit areas that have been left counting the devastating costs.
Well, that's a serious one there. Hunger crisis in Zimbabwe. I think that's just, this is pathetic, Julde. We were just talking about African economy, and this is happening in one of the African contexts. And sometime, one of the Africa's greatest countries, Zimbabwe, legi hola rew mi nu mel and lu fay xew nit ñi amuñ lu no dundé. I think this is just too much, and something urgent have to be done to remedy this situation, because animals are dying like what, and then bu yagge nit ñi tamit naka la ñoo dundé te gis nga fu nekk ni dunda bi sax millions of people are affected, and I think that's a problem, and it's crazy. So lii tamit foog naa ne njiiti war nañ cee mun a bàyyi xel. lan nga gisee report bi Zimbabwe yàgg nañu wax about hunger crisis and all that, but it's getting more out of hand now.
Okay, I think it's a global issue. I mean, so in our 5.5 million rural people are affected.
Yeah.
That is like twice the size of the Gambia.
Absolutely.
Then there is a problem in that country.
Yeah.
Te man luma jahal dal in Africa, like any country, comme no ko waxe rek buñu waxe ne this country is, you know, the brainchild or the country, the shining country in Africa. Gradually, country bobu non that they face one problem or another. Food insecurity, it's a global issue. It's not just because it is happening in Africa. Lu happen Zimbabwe is affecting the Gambia in one way or the other, because these countries are interconnected.
Absolutely.
But what is happening in Zimbabwe is affecting Americans there. So food insecurity is a global issue. It's not just African issue. Ñi dañu wara xol ne when it is Africa, let it be Africa. But when it a global issue, it requires a global dimension. And I think people should really go to help Zimbabweans in this issue because
WHO,
it's really serious. It's sad.
World Food Program rather. WFP are sending a
I think that, like, seriously, reports is another issue. But what are you doing to help those people? Through all the reports they bring in the statistics, very, very alarming statistics. But at the end of the day, as World Food Program, what are they doing in helping the people of Zimbabwe?
Absolutely.
Xam nga loolu tamit dafa nekk loo xam ne dafa jara laajte te African countries yi dañ war a dimbalante because Africa comme nu ma ko waxee am nañ yëpp natural resources yaa fi am nañ fruits everything so lan la ñoo def if other African country is affected. That is what a pan-African should do.
At some point doguma la sax but I do wonder whether it's this case but soo gisee China are coming, Turkey are coming, or all other continents, even Europe are now coming to Africa. Then you will know, of course, the future is Africa. But ñun lan la ñoo def as African pour suñ nit ñi tamit benefit ci loolu. It's another thing.
It's not, we're not benefiting. It's just that like nga sa tool nga bay ko ba mu nice and everything. At the end of the day nga jël yépp nga joxe ko. Sa njaboot yu fa nekk sa ñooñu don't gis the end product of that. It's very sad. That is how Africa is. But really, people should really go back home, rethink, and then ñu xool nu ñoo def because lii du nekk loo xam ne dafa war a continuer. ñu ngi sustainable development goal. When will Africa achieve sustainable development goal? When will Africa be independent? When will Africa be proud of its continent?
Who we are.
I mean, we need to go back. Seriously, this is really alarming. Suñ toogee ma ne yow comme ça ku nekk China moo laa ñoo dimbale kañ lam laa ñoo dimbale because su la ko joxee A fii mu ngi expect another side of B. So that is how things work
to some extent.
International relations.
Yeah, mun nga wax ne we do more of the talking than action.